All right, welcome to the second bonus episode of Retro Game Club podcast. I don't know the episode number. Joining me is someone who can't believe how that Super Bowl just ended, Rob.
Oh, wow. I mean, did you see that one play?
Yeah, I've never seen a play like that before. It was like something out of Joe Montana's Sports Talk Football.
And so we're saying this because we're recording this in mid-January, and who knows when this will air.
Yes.
So we don't know what happened.
To give you an idea, like I just watched the Jacksonville Jaguars win a playoff game, which already is one of the, I believe one of these seven seals mentioned in Revelations. And they ran a play that I swear is in Joe Montana Sports Talk Football.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was their 4th and 1 play where they went into like this dual running back formation and then did this sweep. I'm like, oh, I've run that play in Joe Montana football 100 times. Okay.
And as of right now, aren't the Lions in there somewhere?
No, the Lions were eliminated from playoff contention in the last week of the regular season.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They did have a really solid winning streak to close the season with. So,
you know why? So the only thing I know about football is Barry Sanders was once a great player.
Okay.
On one of the worst teams. He actually ran at the track at my high school. And
okay.
So we would see him all the time. And that the Lions have always been bad. And so at family functions, you know, when dudes are around dudes, they're usually like, hey, football or golf or, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, Star Wars, dragons, you know, where do we meet here?
Yeah.
Punk music. But so at the last family gathering, you know, someone was like, hey, Lions are looking pretty good. And I said, if there's one thing I know is that you never say that every year. Yeah. It's like, is it the new Lions? And I guess it was this time. And it's because I said that.
It was, yeah. Yeah, they might actually be a good team next year. But the Lions winning the Super Bowl is kind of equivalent to like the Cubs winning the World Series. It's the same kind. Well, I mean, not now because the Cubs won it like in 2016, but it would be that same kind of like, is everything going to be okay now with the world?
Oh, Detroit would be aflame. It would be like the Crow. The Crow would come back.
Yeah.
It would turn into Delta City, and RoboCop would have to save all of us.
Yeah. Maybe like, the Purge and Crow combined. Yeah. So this is part 2 of our game show series. We are saving the, let's be really blunt, the worst for I was going to do this one last, I thought, but it's second of probably 3 episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the late 90s video game show Throut Neck. Have you ever heard of this before I suggested we watch this episode?
So when you suggested it, I had not heard of it, but when I started watching it, I had definitely seen it before. These people, this whole thing I have seen before. I think I just intentionally drank heavily or something to kill that part of my brain.
Okay. So I mean, the only time I'd seen this show before alcohol was involved. It was basically like, well, I'm going to watch South Park and have a couple drinks. And then South Park's over. I'm like, I wonder what's on TV. You know, you open up the cable guide. It's like Throut Neck. What is that? And then you put it on. And it's kind of hard to stop watching because it's that kind of like train wreck feel, right? Like this is bad, but I can't stop watching it.
Do you remember what network this was on? I don't think I can find that.
It was on like the Game Show network. Like the thing that just runs like Family Feud 24 hours a day now. That network. Speaking of like train wreck things, I don't know if this will be out by the time the episode comes out, but I did buy tickets to the one night only in theater showing of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Wow.
Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
Most of the theaters in my area are doing one night only showing of it. So I bought some.
That's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be horrible. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely get a giant beer during that.
Yeah. I made sure. I mean, it's hard, when you pick theaters now, because for me, it's very important to pick a theater that doesn't have buffalo wings.
Oh, because you don't like that smell, right?
I hate the smell of buffalo wings. Yeah. And when I went to see one of the Star Wars movies, I think the one that I should have walked out of, that one, or was it Rise of Skywalker?
Yes.
Return of Skywalker?
Yes.
Whatever. It was awful. And that experience was made worse by the fact we saw it in the theater that had chicken wings. Well, buffalo wings specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can imagine that whole experience of basically watching a absolutely dreadful Star Wars movie in a theater that smells like Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
But anyhow, I picked a better theater this time that, yeah, you can get like the giant beer for like $23 or whatever they charge, like some absurd price.
They'll give you a straw to drink it with.
Yeah. So speaking of giant beer, you should have one before you watch the episode of Throut Neck we're going to link to. I don't know what episode number this is because the YouTube channel doesn't seem to know either. But it's from, this is what, 98, 99, right?
I think it was 99, yeah.
Okay. It definitely feels very, very 99. So the premise of this is it's a call-in show, but the more I think about the logistics, the more I don't really know how that would even work. Where you call in and you compete in a video game using your telephone as the controller.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're either controlling Throut or Neck, who are two kind of, Killer Instinct looking characters, I guess. Maybe that's an insult to Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
I mean, they're aliens of some sort.
It's hard to tell exactly what they're even going for. It's definitely not explained, at least from what I could hear.
Yeah, maybe it is in some other episode. I don't know. And they're these two kind of crude aliens. Oh no, like we generally keep our show like PG rated. This show is maybe like PG-13. There's a lot of like attempted humor in this show that's a little bit dirty.
It's made for high school and college kids for sure. It's made to watch in a dorm room.
Yes. Yeah. So, there's a host, there's an actual human host of the show. She's sort of dressed like she's going to a rave after this episode is over. I think that's like what the costume designer was going for. I don't think she brought the outfit from home.
Yeah, I agree. It's very very late 90s rave culture.
Yeah, like let's watch like a Chemical Brothers video and just get that outfit. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of how it went.
Kind of Hackers, the movie.
Yeah, Hackers the movie is actually enjoyable though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible, but it's
I like
a
it.
good kind of terrible.
It has its charm. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's kind of what they're going for here. And the mini games themselves are, I mean, they're not great. Like, first of all, the one thing that surprises me is that this was at all backed by Nintendo in any way at all. Like, when the mini games start, there's like a Nintendo 64 logo over the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're implying that it's running on a Nintendo 64. I don't think it is, but that's what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
And the prizes, at least one of the prizes, is a Game Boy Color.
With a few games. It's actually a great prize.
Yeah, it's a great prize for $19.99. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But again, because of like the kind of the toilet humor or dirty humor, whatever term you prefer, it's hard for me to believe Nintendo actually watched this show and said, yes, this is how we want to be represented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that seems a little bit odd. The mini games themselves, you compete in a bunch of, they're all sort of games that involve killing sheep for some reason.
And so you call in and then she makes fun of you for a second and then someone else calls in and she makes fun of them and then you play each other via the phone.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And how does that work? Because even cable runs on a 7-second delay, right?
Yeah, I don't know if the 7-second delay started post 2000, but
it's been around forever.
I don't see how this actually involved any skill. Because like in one of the games you would hit like 1 to move left, 3 to move right, and like 2 to punch or whatever. And one of them you just had to hit 5 to hit, and the guy kept hitting 5. What, for a good like 35, 45 seconds after the game was over.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, okay, so there could be 7-second delay, which is why he's still like hitting the buttons on the phone after the game's over, or he's just dumb.
He did win, so he was probably just cramming on that and then wasn't listening to the phone at all to hear or watch TV.
Hey, look at here. 7-second delay was first introduced in 1954.
Oh, so after, before 2000 for sure.
For radio, yeah. And then television, like I thought most live television had this delay built in too. I know stuff like the Super Bowl doesn't because, there was like the Janet Jackson thing that for whatever reason she was made out to be the bad guy in that. Like that made it on live TV, and every now and then one of the players will say something you're not supposed to say on TV. But I always assumed like stuff like this just would have been on a delay because it would prevent you from, these callers aren't very smart, right? Like I know I'm stressing that enough, but they don't really come across as the best representatives of our country. And it would not surprise me if one of them just blurted out something inappropriate. Not
one of them had a witty comeback to when Throut or Neck were grilling him.
Yeah. Yeah. They had nothing. It's possible they were just stoned.
Probable.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah. Yeah. So it was, I never debated calling in, of course, but, anyhow, I think this is the time it was 99. I probably still had a landline, but I also might not have had one at all. We might have just like not had a phone. I'm trying to think this through here. As you know, I'm not a big, like, you sent me a text message like 2 days ago and I just replied like 5 minutes ago because I just like I have everything turned off on my phone. So the whole, like, I don't like getting phone calls thing is not new.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so the games, one of them involves like sheep are flying on the screen and you have to shoot them. They're just they're bad. Like I put in the notes here that any of these mini games would be the worst game in Mario Party.
Yeah.
They would also be probably the worst mini game in Muppets Party Cruise or even Jackass. Jackass has one mini game that is really unbearable. So I'll say they'd be the second worst game in Jackass. I put them right around. Have you ever played Eminem's Beach Party for the Wii?
I've seen video of it.
Okay, I actually bought that off eBay for $2. Because I wanted to really experience Eminem's Beach Party. Throut Neck, gameplay-wise, is about on par with Eminem's Beach Party.
Nice.
So outside of the Game Boy Color, did you note that the prizes on here are also really bad?
Probably they were worse. One was a horrible, cheap watch, almost like they just found it, in a garage or something.
Yeah.
Oh, what was another one? There was one. It was
a backpack, wasn't it? Just like a generic backpack.
Yeah, I mean, this show had no funding.
Yeah, they spent it all on CGI.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, the actual games were all in. There was probably like a Voodoo 2 card. What, 99 would be Voodoo 2 or Voodoo 3? Something like that.
I'm thinking this is a like N64 dev kit.
Oh, okay. But could they even afford that? I mean, unless Nintendo just gave them one.
Gave them one, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they just had one. But yeah, I'm trying to find the picture of that watch. Yeah, there it is. It's a 1243 in the YouTube video. And yeah, it just looks like something you would get at Walmart off like one of those spinny racks.
Yeah, for $5 even back then.
Yeah.
And then the backpack, was there anything else? I think it was just 3 games they did, right?
They did 3 games, yeah.
Yeah. So you're not really rewarded other than the one guy with, I mean, even today, that Game Boy Color would be a cool prize. And then...
Yeah, it'd be a cool story about the time you got really stoned and called this game show and won, the Game Boy Color. Like, that alone is a good story.
Yeah. So this was recorded, I think, in Burbank in LA. I think they called that out. And the host, what is her name? Rebecca Grant. Throut Neck sexually harassed her the entire episode.
Yes.
And I mean, they're not even, trying to hide it. And she kind of hazes them back. She has been acting this whole time. So before Throut Neck, she was Harry's dream date in Third Rock from the Sun. Then she did Third Watch. I'm just calling out the things I've heard of. Cutting Edge, Going for Gold. I think that's the sequel to The Cutting Edge, and she's a sports correspondent. She's on HGTV. She's on a sci-fi movie called Super Shark, and she's working all the way through 2022.
Okay. So this was not necessarily, may not have been career enhancing, but it was not career killing.
Yeah, it looks like she never left LA. She was in Entourage.
Okay. I know you say you've heard of these. I've never heard of any of these. I'm sorry.
Remember, I was raised by the TV, so
yeah, but a lot of this stuff is
I'm like the cable guy.
Yeah, I think anything that came out after like 1996 is just lost for me.
It's probably for the better.
Yeah, almost anything. I mean, obviously this came out after 96, but so yeah, that's Throut Neck. I think it ran for a year, maybe 2 years.
It's IMDb only says 1999.
Okay. Not a good show. I'm really.
I was just going to say one of the sexual harassment comments was, if your skirt was any shorter, it would be a hat.
Yes.
I don't get that one.
Means if it was up any higher, it would be over
on her head, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Literally
those are, I think, the first words they say in the entire show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's something. It's something, man. Yeah, I feel bad about recommending this. I think no one should ever watch this show. But whatever, it exists. It was late 90s. If you have to explain the late 90s to your kids, this isn't the worst way to do it.
Yeah, and that was in my notes too, where like, did I see this, or does everything that looked like this give me the same nostalgia memory?
Oh, here's a thought. Now, of the people who called in, what percentage of them do you think attended Woodstock 99?
I would go 100%.
I was going to go 100% also, yeah.
Yeah. These people have definitely burned stages and stuff before.
Yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, the one caller that I was making fun of, did you see the Netflix Woodstock 99 documentary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the guy that looks, for lack of a better term, looks exactly like Beavis, who's featured on there quite a bit. Now that I think about it, he sounded an awful lot like the one of the callers on this show.
Yeah, it probably was him.
Yeah, could have been. Small world.
But yeah, I think that's Throut Neck, huh?
Yeah, that's all I can talk about with this show.
This will be the first time I discourage emailing, but if you have thoughts on Throut Neck, email at retrokingclub.net.
Yeah, but my thought is, I can't help but wonder, like, were they planning a home version of this?
Oh,
What were there plans to do a Nintendo 64 game based on this? I would legit like to play that if it was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or, there's going to be some kind of source code dump, and this source code will end up online. And then we can make our own game show. We could have a Twitch version of this.
Oh, yeah. So they already do that. They have people like playing stuff in Twitch already. You can do that.
Well, against each other, not on the same. Well, the way I would do this now is the way that RetroArch works, is that you don't watch the person play if you're remote viewing in RetroArch. What it does is it creates like a WebSocket, and it sends the button clicks from the person's RetroArch to yours. So you have to have the exact same ROM, and then they're pretty much controlling it from afar. So that might be a cool way to do this, something like this, and make it like lag free.
what was that system we talked about that I don't know if it ever launched? The Pie Packer? Was that a real thing?
That's right.
We talked about this like 2 or 3 years ago, and he was gonna like, I don't know what, I was pretty skeptical of that idea. But that would work for this.
And that seems like that would have been, if this was made now, that would have been a prize on Throut Neck, Pie Packer.
Okay.
So I'm on piepacker.com, and I don't have any spyware yet, but it looks like some company is squatting on this site now, because in Google, if you do Pie Packer, definitely use, VPN, or you'll be put on some list. But it says Pie Packer is a free cloud gaming platform, yada, yada, yada. But when you click on it, it says Pie Packer becomes jam.gg.
Yeah, they got bought. I knew that much.
Okay.
And by a company called Jam, and they're currently looking to hire a head of product design and senior front end developer, both in Europe. But I had read that they were that this product's acquired by someone. But that would be the premise. Like, you would each have your Throut Neck game cartridge, and then you plug it into the Pie Packer, which I don't know if it supports Nintendo 64 or not, and then you could play against each other online, as opposed to RetroArch, where you can do the exact same thing without buying a piece of hardware.
Yeah, or having to say those words ever again.
Yes.
Yeah, play now. I can't believe I'm clicking into this.
Don't do that. But hey, they actually shipped a product, so good for them.
Hey, Nintendo 64 is in there.
Okay.
Choose what you're playing. Play now. I have to accept terms.
Oh, no.
Oh, jeez.
I think I sent you and Zach the photo. I know this is kind of getting off the rails here. I think I sent you the photo where like Pie Packer had like a table set up at Midwest Gaming Classic with a sign that said Pie Packer, but there was nobody at the table or any hardware or any brochures. It was literally just a table with a sign.
You should get a table next year that just says Pie Packer.
Just that, yeah. Just right there.
Yep. And just say, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this show.
Nope, I got nothing else, man. So go on. You can watch. We have the YouTube link. You can watch this if you choose. And we are probably going to do one more game show episode. Something better, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.